Hello everyone, this is Chaim Durst. Today I would like to talk about boundaries. I've struggled with boundaries for much of my life. I absorb the pain of others. I tell people I'm empathic and that I'm overly empathic, that I sponge the emotions of others. I tell people that that's the reason I'm in pain, is because I do not have clear boundaries. And yet for much of my life I've not done much to establish them or to maintain them. Whether it's my children, whether it's my students, whether it's what's happening in the world. I just do not separate myself, my safe space, from that of others. If I think about a map, right? This is the Mind Map Muse series. So I think about my mental health as a map. Without clear delineation, there's often conflict and strife. Right? I think about what's happening in Europe right now, between Russia and Ukraine. Where's the border? One is invading this and one's pushing back with that because there's no clear boundaries, Russia says. Historically, that these boundaries don't exist. Most of the conflicts that exist in the world, between India and Pakistan, between China and India, between Russia and China, between Japan and Russia, so many places, because there are no clear boundaries, there is conflict. So if that's what's happening in the geopolitical world, how much more so in my psychological world? I'm going to be talking about boundaries a little bit more clearly here. So let's talk about boundaries. What are your boundaries? Well, these are mine. This is a digital image that I generated that shows my boundaries. Unfortunately, as you can see on the outer edge, it's still very fuzzy. I still allow my psyche to absorb the pain, the anxiety, and the fear of others, the needs of others. But slowly, I am creating clearer boundaries in the middle, establishing a safe space for me to operate in. It is necessary and important to have concern for others. But the way that I tend to do it is that I become attached to what others do or don't do. The most effective way for me to prevent pain is for me to untie my emotions, my thoughts, and my expectations from anything outside my control. And I could do so by maintaining firm boundaries. Let me go back to the first paragraph here. It's destructive to become attached to what others do or don't do. One of the ways that I relate to my children, to relate to my mentees, people that I'm trying to support, is with the following statement. Whatever you do or don't do, I love you. I'm not attached to what you do or don't do. I don't have expectations for you to do or not do anything. I love you the way that you are. So attachment and my need for control, those are the things that undermine my boundaries. Again, we want to control things, but we have very little control. The only thing that I can control is what I say and what I do. That is it. I can't even control what I think. I can't control how I feel. All I can control is what I say and what I do. That in turn can change how I feel. I certainly can't control anyone else. The reason I feel unsafe and in pain is because I violate my boundaries. I latch onto the pain of others and leech their fear. I love that statement. I latch onto the pain of others and leech their fear. Remember when I was a kid at summer camp and I was wading in the lake and I felt a sort of a sting in my leg and I sort of ignored it. And I looked down when I got out of the water and I had leeches covering my legs. And I think about that image, that I leech onto the legs of others. I leech onto the psyches of others because I do not honor my boundaries or theirs. I need to learn to say no and say, okay, if I try to control others, if I violate other people's boundaries, then I become destabilized and my health deteriorates. Establishing and maintaining boundaries. That is my priority each day. I may want to teach, I may want to serve, I may want to give, but by doing so may destabilize me if I do not have clear boundaries. I may want to serve others, but if I overstep my boundaries, I'm robbing them of their opportunity to grow, and I'm robbing myself of my opportunity to be at peace. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Chaim Durst. One way that I maintain and reestablish my boundaries is through visualization. I use visualization techniques throughout my mental health curriculum and throughout this series. One of them is called Hedge Keeper. When I find myself getting too affected by other people's issues, I visualize myself as a gardener, planting and maintaining firm yet beautiful hedges that separate my neighbor's property from mine. In my mind's eye, I see myself lovingly sculpt these hedges. Storm rages and tear up my carefully maintained shrubbery. The neighbor's animals rip it apart. I even slice through it to reach infernos blazing in neighboring houses. No matter who or what wrecks it, I calmly repair the damage done. I'm the one who generally destroys the hedges that I build around myself. I overstep my boundaries. Very few people invade mine. I don't allow that. I know not to allow that. The only people that invade my space are those that I rent space to in my head. Even though I maintain my safe boundaries, it doesn't mean that I'm doing so in a cold or heartless way. In fact, creating and establishing boundaries is one of the most empathic things that I can do, because it empowers me to serve others and to serve myself. I need boundaries to function well. And if I overstep and make other people's issues my own, I'm doing both of us a disservice. In my enthusiasm to help, I often take away other people's responsibility and rob them of their opportunity to grow. I'll give you an example. For many years, I've helped students with their college application essays. When I first started, 20-something years ago, I would make edits right to the page. I would jump in and finish their sentences, or I would just I would wordsmith the sentence in a way that sounded, in my mind, more effective. Now I don't do that. Never do that, because that's overstepping my boundaries. I consider the page to be a sacred boundary. I'm allowed to make comments on the side, and that is it. It is up to the student to see my notes, to implement those that they feel may help the essay. But that is it. I'm not attached to whether they implement the suggestions or not. I really am not, because it's their responsibility to grow. I've done my portion to offer my comments, and the rest of it is up to them. In the past, I've had issues maintaining clear and safe boundaries, which has caused me pain and shortchanged those I love. But if I use visualization when I feel threatened, I can love others, yet protect my heart from taking on their pain, anxiety, and fear. I put this in quotes because this is like a mantra of mine. Sometimes I say, oh, I can't maintain boundaries. Oh, I'm not good at boundaries. Well, as we talked about in a previous video, is what I'm saying contributing to my physical and mental health? By saying that I can't maintain boundaries, I'm creating a self-fulfilling prophecy that I cannot do that. This statement, this mantra, is much more truthful. Yes, I've had trouble maintaining boundaries, but I have the tools to create them and to maintain them. I can use visualization techniques like the one that I outlined here. And by maintaining my boundaries, I can protect myself and I can empower others. Here then is how I visualize my boundaries. They're getting a little bit clearer. They're more vibrant. They sustain me, and they allow me to be creative and to grow.